All right, everybody, let's get everybody playing some ultimate Frisbee. First, let me talk to you about how to properly throw a Frisbee, because one of the first mistakes that people make is not being able to throw it correctly. The wind takes it, it goes flying wherever they don't want it to go. So let me kind of work you out the kinks of that. First thing is, this is how you're gonna hold it. All right, you want your thumb on top, 3 fingers on the bottom, and your finger right on the side. The couple of tips that I usually give are this. Number 1 is you just flick your wrist. Okay, so don't make it a big arm wind up. That big arm wind up is what sometimes gets it off course. All right, so you want more of a wrist flick, kind of just hold it in front of you. Yes, the arm is going to extend without winding up, but with that extension, it's going to be a flick of the wrist. Okay, the next thing is, other than flicking the wrist, is pointing directly at your target. As I flick my wrist, I want to end up pointing exactly where I'm going to throw to, because that stops the motion of it and lets it go off in that tangent in a straight line. So I want to make sure I'm flicking my wrist and pointing it at the target that I want to throw to. The next thing is making sure that you're keeping your arm level. Okay, if your arm goes up or it goes in a downward motion, obviously it's going to go that direction, but the wind is going to make that even worse. So you want to keep a level arm. Okay, you want to make sure that you are flicking that wrist and you want to point at your target. So that is the proper way to throw a Frisbee. All right, guys, quick break. I have the world's laziest dog. No way she'll ever go after a Frisbee. Watch this. Hey, Sandy, you want a Frisbee? Told you. Okay, now that we've talked about throwing this thing properly, now we can talk about actually playing in a game. So let me go through some of those rules. The first thing is you begin the game with a throw-off. All the players of one team are on one side of the field. All the players of the other team are on the other side of the field. And if this team was throwing to this team, then they would throw it as far as they could. And the other team would then catch it and begin picking it up and start being able to throw it to their teammates. So that is the throw-off to begin a game. Once you pick that Frisbee up as the offense, you have 10 seconds to make a throw. So you are looking around, your teammates can spread out, and they can go in any direction. You can make a throw backwards, sideways, way down the field, however you feel. All right, so you have 10 seconds, though, once you pick that up to make a throw. The nearest defender is going to be counting out those 10 seconds. So if somebody was defending me, they would have to stay back, because in PE, we guard the thrower. That's a special rule. In real ultimate Frisbee, you get all up in the thrower's face and try to guard them. I can't have that in PE, people getting Frisbees right in the dome. So we got to make sure we're not guarding the thrower, 3 big steps back, but that person is my counter. So that means if you are taking forever to throw the Frisbee, they can throw 10, 9, 8, 7, and they know it down to 1 that you have to get rid of it or the other team takes it. So that's the 10-second call. Now, if you make a catch and I throw that thing and it comes in and you catch it, you have to stop immediately. Now, that doesn't mean your momentum won't take you a step or 2 forward and you go back to where you caught it at and you continue your play. So again, you must stop immediately. You can't run with it at all. But if your momentum takes you a step or 2, that's okay. But a momentum can never take you into the end zone. So if this were the touchdown end zone right here and I caught it and went across that end zone, that's not going to count. I'd have to bring that back out and toss it in. You cannot score with your momentum, and you can't run the ball at all. When I say ball, I mean Frisbee. I make that mistake a lot. The other thing you need to understand is there's no handoff. So we can't have it where everybody gets all in close and hands it off to the next person. I did not allow anyone to guard the thrower. So that means it's not really fair for you to hand it off. So a Frisbee must leave somebody's hands before it gets caught by somebody else. Okay, now let's talk about what the defense can do and wants to do. If you drop the Frisbee at any point and it hits the ground, the defense automatically takes it. There are no downs. It's not like, oh, I'll get it back and get another couple chances. If it's dropped, defense takes it. So anytime that it goes out of bounds, that I smack it to the ground, it's automatically defense ball. Here's one of the biggest mistakes people make out on the field. They think whoever drops the Frisbee, the other team automatically gets it. That's not true. If the offense has it and my team is throwing it, and the defense comes up and hits it down to the ground, it's still the defense's Frisbee. So I want you to understand, it is not who drops it, it's whoever threw it. If that hits the ground, the other team's going to get it. Another quick thing to note is, if this Frisbee hits the ground and the defense is going to take over possession and start throwing it the other way. If it hits and starts rolling away and it ends up 40 yards off to the side, that Frisbee gets returned to its spot for me to get possession. So I can run it all the way back to where it started rolling, and that's where my team's going to take it. The same thing if it goes over an out of bounds line. If it goes flying over an out of bounds line way off onto the track, I don't have to start way off on the track. I run up to where it crossed the line for our actual out of bounds line, and that's where we're going to throw it in at. Are there fouls in this game? Well, absolutely. Otherwise, it would get way too rough. Fouls are called by the person who gets fouled. So if I'm standing there ready to catch a Frisbee and somebody comes smashing into me, even if I drop it, I call that foul and we're going to keep possession. One thing to note about Ultimate Frisbee is the spirit of the game. It's not refereed. It's called self-governing, meaning it's played all over in really big tournaments and the players call the fouls. So, you can't call every little oh, so-and-so brushed into me. But at the same time, it can't get rough. So players have to be able to judge what's a foul and what's not. Keep the cool, level head, because it's really a sport of camaraderie, played amongst friends, and is has that kind of spirit. So you need to make sure that we keep it that way when we're playing. The only other quick thing that I could think of is make sure that you switch ends frequently. The wind and sun, things like that, have a big impact on how a disc will fly. So it's only fair for teams to have it going in both directions and have the wind one way and not the other. All right, I think that's pretty much all the rules. Everything else, as it happens, I'll stop you out on the field and make sure you understand. But the rules are very basic and the game is very fun. So let's get out there and play some Ultimate Frisbee.